Okay, guys, welcome. I hope you are feeling well today. Good morning. So, in today's web conference, we are going to discuss present perfect continuous. As you already know, some of you have already sent the activity, and I have been reading a lot of good stuff in what you have sent so far. And most of you have included in your work, in your presentation, you have included um, information related to the present perfect continuous. So most of you know how to create, how to build sentences using the present perfect continuous. So I want to add that as most of you have said in your works, the present perfect continuous is a verb tense we use to talk about situations that or actions that have started in the past and they have continued up to the present moment. Remember that the present perfect continuous usually emphasizes duration or the amount of time that an action has been taking place. So they started in the past, they continued up to the present, and now I want to emphasize the duration of the activity, the time, the amount of time of that action. So as you can see here on the presentation, I prepare for you. We also, when we cover the verb tense, we need to be clear of the form, how to build that structure, that verb tense in English. So remember that we are using the perfect, it's a perfect tense. And as mm, as I told you in the Let's Web conference, all perfect verb tenses, they use an auxiliary, and that auxiliary is the verb have. As we are talking still in the present, we use the have and the has form. And we are also using the continuous. So the main verb, we need the main verb in the present participle. That is the ing form. We also, because this is perfect, this is present and this is perfect and is continuous. Remember that the continuous tenses, they use an auxiliary too, and that auxiliary is the verb to be. Do you remember the present continuous? I am talking. You are studying. So, as we have the perfect tense and a continuous tense, we have two auxiliaries. That's why we have here has, have, been, the verb to be, present participle. The present perfect continuous is formed using has, have been, present participle. Questions are indicated by inverting the subject and has, have. Negatives are made with not. So we have a statement. You have been waiting here for 2 hours. Question, have you been waiting here for 2 hours? Negative form, you have not been waiting here for 2 hours. So how do I know when to use the present perfect continuous. I think this is much better. So we use it when we want to emphasize in the duration from the past until now. So we have the past and they started in the past. Now we are in the present. They maybe will continue in the future because it's continuous. And I want to emphasize that duration. We use the present perfect continuous to show that something started in the past and has continued up until now for 5 minutes for 2 weeks, and since Tuesday are all durations which can be used with the present perfect continuous. So here we have some examples. They have been talking for the last hour. She has been working at the company for 3 years. What have you been doing for the last 30 minutes? I was been waiting for you. Please tell me. Where were you? James has been teaching at the university since June. We have been waiting here for over 2 hours. Why has Nancy not been taking her medicine for the last 3 days? Why? We also use it to talk about activities we have been doing recently or lately. You can also use the present perfect continuous without a duration, such as for 2 weeks. Without the duration, the tense has a more general meaning of lately. We often use the words lately or recently to emphasize this meaning. Here we have some examples. Recently, I have been feeling really tired, which is true. What about you? It's the end of this year. So there is a feeling of, closure. We need to end this year. I want to go to go on vacation. I need a vacation. I need vacation time. He has been watching too much television lately. Have you been exercising lately? Mary has been feeling a little depressed. Lisa has not been practicing her English. What have you been doing? Important here, remember that the present perfect continuous has the meaning of lately or recently. If you use the present perfect continuous in a question such as, have you been feeling alright? It can suggest that the person looks sick, or unhealthy. Have you been feeling alright? A question such as, have you been smoking, can suggest that you smell the smoke on the person. Using this tense in a question suggests you can see, smell, hear, or feel the results of the action. It is possible to insult someone by using this tense incorrectly. So we need to be careful also. I can use this with a friend, with a relative, maybe my father, my son, but not my boss. No, not in the workplace. No, 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 not with a strange. Have you been smoking weed? That will be too rude. Okay, let's continue. I put here some group verbs because it is important to notice this. We use the present perfect continuous with most of the verbs, but remember that we have a group of verbs which cannot be used in the continuous form. I'm not certain if you have seen this before, but remember that I usually teach, when I teach the present continuous, I usually say, okay, guys, remember that we have what we call emotions, and we don't usually use those verbs to express emotions or a state of mind in the present continuous. So it is the same here with the present perfect continuous. So here I put the list. We have the normal verbs: run, walk, eat, fly, go, say, touch. And we can use those normal verbs in the continuous form. But we also have a group of not continuous verbs. Remember the abstract verbs, the possession verbs, the emotion verbs. Okay, here we have some. To be, to want, to cause, to seem, to need, to care, to contain, to owe, to exist, to possess, to own, to belong, to like, to love, to hate, to dislike, to fear, to invite, to mind. Here's some examples. He is needing help now. That's not correct. He needs help now. So I need to use the present simple. He's wanting a drink now. So he wants a drink now. And if I'm talking about the relation to the past, which is why we are learning in this course how to use the perfect tenses like the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. So if I have this group of verbs and I'm using the present perfect continuous, I need to choose the present perfect form. Okay? So that's something to have in mind. Okay, here we have some mixed verbs, but let's say that's not important for this subject now. So let's go right away to the exercises. And here, okay, remember that we have some keywords we use with perfect tenses. We saw those words, those I'm sorry, that group of words in the last conference. Remember, we have yet, we have already, we have since. Remember? Do you remember? So we can use also those with the with the present perfect continuous. And that's why it is a little bit confusing in English to decide when to use the present perfect and when to use the present perfect continuous. So here I want to invite you to think in terms of Spanish. This is not totally right. Remember that every teacher says, okay, if you want to learn English, you need to think in English. But in this time, I dare to share with you a key, like a hint I used a lot at the beginning when I was learning when to use the present perfect and when to use the present perfect continuous. And something that helped me a lot was to think in terms of the Spanish, in terms of the Spanish language, because we also have those sentences, those verb tenses in English, and they are similar in Spanish and they are similar in English. So just try to think, okay, how it sounds while you get used to it and you don't have to use the Spanish help anymore. Do you understand? Do you get it? Okay, here we have Robin. I think the waiter forget, that's the verb, as we need to use wait here for over half an hour and nobody we need to put take, the verb take in the right form, or order yet. So here we are in a restaurant and I'm talking with my partner. In this case, we have Robin and Michelle. So Robin is saying, I think the waiter, what do you think would be the best option? Present perfect or present perfect continuous? Right. Here we need the present perfect. I think the waiter has forgotten us. Remember the structure for the present perfect? Then we have you are right. Here we need the present perfect continuous. We have been waiting here for over half an hour and nobody and here good present perfect and nobody has taken our order yet. If we translate this in Spanish, it's the same. That's why I'm saying, okay, please, at the beginning, while you get used to it, you can use the Spanish language help. So Michelle now says, okay, I think you're right. He walked by us at least 20 times. He probably thinks we ordered already. So please think a little bit. Okay, here we need to change. Very good. So at the beginning, we need to use the present perfect continuous. I think you're right. He has been walking by us at least 20 times. All this time, he probably thinks we have already ordered, right? Remember the placement of the arbor placement. When we're talking in the present perfect, we put it inside, in between, same with the present perfect continuous. Okay, Michelle, Robin says, look at the couple over there. We need to use here the verb to be with only. Here for 5 or 10 minutes, and they already have their food. So, what do you think? Okay, good. The present perfect. The present perfect. Why? Because be is one of the verbs we cannot use in the present perfect continuous, in continuous form. So here we need the present perfect. Look at the couple over there. They have been here for 5 or 10 minutes and they already have their food. We need to place only. Where to put it? In between? No, in between, no, because in this case we have the verb to be, so we need to put it after the verb to be. They had been only here for 5 or 10 minutes and they already have their food. Here we put it in between because here the verb is have, but here we need to put it after the verb to be. Michelle now says he must realize we here for over half an hour staring at him. That's a funny situation. If you realize it's a funny situation, it's not possible that this can happen. Okay. He must realize we haven't ordered yet. Present perfect. We had been sitting here for over half an hour, staring at him. Present perfect continues. Robin says, I don't know if he, present perfect, has even noticed us. He, present perfect continues. Again, he has been running from table to table, taking orders and serving food. Michelle says that's true. And we also here we have look, which is a verb we cannot use in the continuous form, so we need the present perfect form. That's true. And he has not looked in our direction once. Okay, good job. I think this is all. I hope this is helpful. Have a great day and enjoy your time doing the activity. Thank you. Bye.